I find that not a lot of horror media scares me anymore, and a lot of that has to do with how much I consume most of it, and how desensitized to movie violence I actually am. I still get shocked by things like a sudden death, but very rarely does something terrify me. On occasion, I'll find something that'll disturb me, like the alien queen in Aliens, or the creature in the thing, and they'll be on my mind for years and years on end. What those two films have in common is that they both fall under a subgenre of horror known as cosmic horror. Popularized by H.P. Lovecraft, cosmic horror is the horror of the unknown and incomprehensible. It's a kind of horror that is completely hopeless with no way to fight back. It's the purest form of tragedy, as even though the protagonists in these stories try their hardest to comprehend or even try to fight the horror, there is absolutely nothing they can do. So what defines a tragedy? Tragedies usually have unhappy endings where our protagonists don't get what they want and or die in the end. William Shakespeare was popular for this, as most of his popular stories end in tragedy. Most, if not all, of his stories end with the main characters dying, like Macbeth, Brutus, Romeo and Juliet, etc. But does death make something a tragedy? No. Naughty Dog's The Last of Us Part 2, in my opinion, would be considered a tragedy, despite the game ending with neither the villain nor the protagonist dying, yet they both lose everything. Most Batman stories are tragedies, and yet the hero stops the villain in almost every single issue or movie they're in. A tragedy could be anything from a gambler losing it all on a bet to someone gaining everything they've ever wanted, and yet still ending up alone. A tragedy can end with a fate much worse than death. In most cosmic horror stories authored by H.P. Lovecraft, our protagonists go mad by the eldritch horror that they are witnessing. It's not the typical type of madness that you see in movies where someone either starts maniacally laughing or loses all sense of self. It's a type of madness that is slow and obsessive. It's like watching something horrible happen on live TV and not being able to take your eyes off the screen. However, cosmic horror does not have to end in a tragedy. Recently, Jordan Peele released his latest film, Nope, a sci-fi horror film about an animal handler and his sister encountering a flying saucer and trying to survive it. Spoilers for Nope, by the way. By the end of the film, the creature takes form and is this big, incomprehensible thing that's only goal is to devour living things as food. The film ends with Emerald, played by Kiki Palmer, tricking the creature to swallow an inflatable man, causing it to explode inside of it. And of course, killing him. Films such as The Thing and Alien end with the protagonist destroying the creatures that are hunting them, though The Thing is up for interpretation. However, the best cosmic horror stories do end in tragedies. What makes this subgenre so appealing to many people is the nihilistic nature of it all. These stories question the nature of man and shows us all how insignificant we truly are. We as a species create religions to explain and even comfort us as we try to explain our place in this universe. We say it was God who created us, with a purpose, or it was all an accident, a big bang if you will. Cosmic horror stories take these ideas and distorts and perverts them, telling the audience that you don't matter, and you never did. For many, it's a scary thing to accept. Absolute meaninglessness. However, for some, it's a freeing concept. Making humanity seem so insignificant can truly terrify the mind. Something about this incomprehensible thing appearing, basically proving humanity's insignificance, gives the audience this feeling of existential dread. Nihilism is what's needed to fill the audience with this existential dread, as we as humans believe that we are all important, and the idea that we're not is a near impossible thing to accept. God made us for a reason. We all have a purpose for this world. We force ourselves to accept these ideas. Nihilism, however, rejects these ideas, only believing that this is it for mankind. No afterlife, no God. This is it. And all sense of good and evil, or just the abstract idea of morality, is all a lie. There's no hope, no light, no God or gods. Only an empty void that awaits us all in the end. These gods are here to lead us to that void, but we are consumed with madness as we try to comprehend something that shouldn't be there. They say that if you were to see God's face, you die immediately. A face that's supposed to be so loving, so warm, can leave the body so cold and empty. What if that is the true nature of God? What kind of terrors does it have in store for us in the end? Cosmic horror is a terrifying yet beautifully freeing subgenre. It's a cold, nihilistic, and tragic subgenre that has its hold on many people. Just knowing how fragile humanity is, and how at the snap of a finger we could all just be wiped away, is a beautifully haunting idea that we just cannot get enough of.